Next speaker is Dr. Hari Kishan. He will speak on the constrictive pericarditis versus restrictive cardiomyopathy, the hemodynamics, which is a very important area of evaluation. I invite Professor Hari Kishan for this.
Good evening, respected chairs and dear students. Thank you, Madam Rama and the PCSI for this opportunity. Before going to the discussion on hemodynamics, we should understand two things. In constrictive pericarditis, the restriction is at the pericardial level, and in restrictive cardiomyopathy, the myocardium is the problem. The restriction is at the myocardial level. This is the basic difference. So what are the common features between constriction and restriction? Both are diastolic abnormalities. Both have elevated diastolic pressures, and ventricular filling is mostly in early diastole. These are the features in common. So you should know how to differentiate between constriction and restriction. You should know 2-3 things. One is that as I said, in constrictive pericarditis, the restraint is at the pericardium. The myocardium is normal, and the septum, which is a part of the myocardium, that is normal. So it can shift to either side on respiration. In restrictive cardiomyopathy, it is a myocardial disease. The septum is stiff. It cannot shift to right or left based on respiratory phases. That is a basic difference. So you don't have any respiratory variation in a restrictive cardiomyopathy, but you have all those variations in constriction. What are the hemodynamic features of constriction? Elevation of cardiac filling pressures due to restriction inserted by the pericardium. Diastolic equalization of pressures in all chambers. Diastolic filling restricted to early diastole. The Kussmaul sign, which I will discuss. Heightened ventricular interdependence. These points we will discuss in detail. Diastolic equalization. Fixed pericardium exert an equal contact pressure on all the chambers. So this causes elevation and equalization of the diastolic pressures. And this will be within 5 millimeters in all the cardiac chambers. This is the hallmark of pericardial constriction. Equalization and elevation of diastolic pressures, and the difference will be less than 5 millimeters. And which all the chambers? The differences between the less than 5 millimeters in mean right atrium, RV end diastolic, PA diastolic, pulmonary capillary widths mean, LV end diastolic pressure, and pericardial pressures. All these will be equal. And this is diagnostic for constriction. But this can also be seen in tamponade. The diastolic equalization is not unique to constriction, but it's also seen in decompensated left heart failure, severe TR, acute MR, RV infarction, and cardiac tamponade. But in some situations, like the cases with localized pericardial constriction or very dehydrated patients or normal right atrial pressure, the diastolic equalization may not be obvious in a constriction. The second thing is loss of transmission of intrathoracic pressure. So normally what happens is there is an inspiratory decrease in intrathoracic pressure, which is transmitted to all the cardiac chambers. Decrease in pressure this leads to decrease in pressure in the pulmonary veins and the left atrium and left ventricle. So decrease in pulmonary capillary wedge or the pulmonary venous pressure is accompanied by a corresponding decrement in the intra-chamber pressures. So the gradient that drives the LV filling is maintained normally. But in constriction, what happens is that the pulmonary veins are extra pericardial. Whatever inspiratory decrease in the intrathoracic pressure is transmitted to the pulmonary veins, but not to the LA or LV. So decrease in the pulmonary venous pressure is not accompanied by a corresponding decrease in the LV pressure. So that there is a less gradient that drives LV filling. So there is an inspiratory decrease in LV filling. So it allows the increased RV filling due to other reasons, like the flow from the IVC is increased due to the increased intra-abdominal pressure, and the IVC is not affected by the heightened intrathoracic pressure. So the IVS shift to the left. The opposite occurs in expiration. So this is the concept. So this is what is in graphically. You can see that in inspiration, the septum shift to the left side. In expiration, the septum shift to the right side. But we will see what are the events, atrial events, elevated right atrial pressure, the Kussmaul sign, rapid Y descent or the Frederick sign, because the atrial filling occurs only in early diastole. Once the early diastole, the atrium fills, then it reaches a particular pressure beyond which the filling is not possible or allowed. Then there is a preserved X descent. because the preserved atrial and ventricular relaxation. The X descent is due to the atrial and ventricular relaxation. In restrictive cardiomyopathy, due to the myocardial abnormality, the relaxation is not happening. So it is a blunted X descent in a restriction. But if the X descent is preserved in a constriction. The inconspicuous positive waves and prominent descents, this will lead to the M or the W pattern in a constrictive pericarditis. So this is an example of one of our cases. The right atrial mean in this patient is 25 millimeters. On another point is that in constriction, the right atrial mean will not go beyond 25 usually. If it is more than 25, it indicates a more likely to be a restrictive cardiomyopathy, where it can go higher. The pulmonary capillary wedge mean is 26. You can see here the prominent Y descent, preserved X descent, and showing the M or the W pattern. Coming to Kussmaul sign, the observation of a jugular venous pressure that rises with inspiration. What happens is that the respiratory variation and intrathoracic pressure with inspiration is not transmitted to the heart chamber. So whatever increase in venous return cannot be accommodated by the right side, and it is manifested as a rise in JVP. Ventricular events, as I said, the ventricular filling is restricted to early diastole. When there is a rapid filling wave, which is more than 7 millimeters, that is one of the criteria to diagnose a restrictive physiology. Abrupt halt of ventricular filling once the limit is set by the pericardium. This will lead to a dip and plateau pattern or the square root sign. Equalization of the LV and RV diastolic pressures, as we know that there is equalization of pressures in all the chambers. And exaggerated ventricular interdependence, or what is called a ventricular discordance. We will see one of the tracings and discuss. So normally what happens is that the atrial pressure slowly rises, and finally you will have an atrial contraction which completes the ventricular, the diastolic filling. In constriction, what happens is that the filling is restricted to early diastole. Once it reaches that particular pressure, then it stops. Then there is no further filling. So this is the dip and plateau pattern, and the early diastolic filling, dip and plateau. So filling is restricted to initial one-third of diastole, square root sign, or dip and plateau. This is the rapid filling wave I said. The rapid filling wave more than 7 millimeters is an indicator of a restrictive physiology. So this is the patient, the tracing of the same patient, elevation of the end diastolic pressures of LV and RV. You can see that they are elevated and almost the same, the end diastolic, the diastolic pressures. Both have the dip and plateau pattern. Now we'll come to the exaggerated respiratory variation or the ventricular interdependence. Though this tracing you can see, the red one is the inspiration and the green one is the expiration. What you can see is that during inspiration, as I have said, due to the different mechanisms which I discussed, the left ventricular output will come down, and the right-sided output will go up. So there is a rise in the RV pressure and a decrease in the LV pressure. So this is the ventricular discordance. This is called the ventricular discordance. So this is the pressures in the same patient. You can see that RV and the LV ED are high, 30 millimeters. RI mean is 29, LV ED is 30. Again, the pulmonary capillary wedge mean is 30. And here the PA diastolic is also 30 millimeters. Right atrium, you can see this tracing is already discussed. The mean is around 28. Pulmonary capillary wedge is high. RV and LV ED is elevated and showing the dip and plateau pattern, and showing that the lower one shows the ventricular interdependence, heightened ventricular interdependence. So these are the hemodynamic features of constriction: elevation of filling pressures, diastolic equalization of pressures in all chambers, early diastolic rapid filling, prominent Y descent, the Frederick sign, square root pattern in ventricular filling, ventricular discordance, and Kussmaul sign. These are the hemodynamic features of a constrictive pericarditis. Now coming to restrictive cardiomyopathy. We know that restrictive cardiomyopathy is a myocardial disease. The myocardium is abnormal. So all the features of myocardial dysfunction will be evident in a restrictive cardiomyopathy. The elevated right atrial pressures, prominent Y descent, blunted X descent, as I already said, because there is a poor atrial relaxation and a limited descent of the annulus because the myocardium is abnormal. The atrial myocardium also, as also the ventricular myocardium is abnormal. So the relaxation and limited descent that lead to a blunted X descent. And there is a prominent Y descent due to the restrictive, rarely diastolic filling. Well, what are the ventricular events? The restricted ventricular filling, dip and plateau pattern, elevated filling pressures. Here the myocardium is abnormal. So the left ventricular end diastolic pressure is higher than the right ventricular end diastolic pressure by at least 5 millimeters. So this is an important criteria. LVED more than the right ventricular ED, more than 5 millimeters. Higher LVEDP, higher PA pressures because of the higher left ventricular pressure, same will be reflected, and the pulmonary arterial pressure will be higher in a restricted cardiomyopathy, and usually it will be more than 50 millimeters. And constriction, it will be usually below 50 millimeters of mercury. There is no respiratory variation because the septum is stiff; it cannot move with respiration, and then so there is no ventricular interdependence. So again, you can see the RA minus 25, the Y descent, blunted X descent. RV pressures is 75, ED is 25, PA pressure is 75 by 28, RV and LV ED, this is a low resolution, the gain is at 200, so we are not able to see the difference. There is no respiratory variation in restricted cardiomyopathy because the chambers and septum is minimally distensible, so there is little respiratory variation in flow or pressure. Then respiratory mitral inflow velocity. In restriction, there is a minimal variation, less than 10%, but in constriction, you can see one of the criteria is more than 25 to 30%, at least 15% increase in expiration. That is the one of the criteria. So you can see that there's a significant variation in inspiration and expiration. Other criteria, LVEDP, RVEDP difference, I have already said. Constriction is less than 5, restriction it is more, LVEDP is more. RVEDP by RVSP, because RV systolic pressure is higher, and restriction it is less than 1/3. Pulmonary artery systolic pressure is already discussed, less than 50, more than 50. Then there is systolic area index, that is less than 1.1 in constriction, and more than 1.1 in constriction, less than 1.1 in a restricted cardiomyopathy. Echocardiography, I will show some of the findings in echocardiography. Systolic function is preserved in constriction and early stages of restriction. Diastolic dysfunction in both. Myocardial abnormality in RCM. Respiratory variation absent. Ventricular concordance in RCM. There is no discordance. These are the echo findings. Respirophasic ventricular shift, also called a septal bounce. I will show an echo picture. Increased mitral E velocity, E by a ratio more than 1.6 in expiration. Respiratory variation of the mitral E wave velocity, I said at least more than 15. Prominent expiratory diastolic flow reversal in hepatic veins. This is said to be one of the very specific signs of in constriction. The reversal ratio more than 0.79. Then the other points like annulus, reversus, annular, that I will discuss. Then there's a constrained circumferential and preserved longitudinal myocardial deformation. The septal bounce and shudder. So you can see the septal movement outward. Early diastolic mitral annular velocity E prime reflects the myocardial relaxation. Normal medial E dash is more than 9 millimeters. In myopathy, it is less than 6 millimeters. Restriction E prime is reduced. In constriction, it is preserved or increased. Normally, we know that the lateral E is more than medial E. But in constriction, the medial E is more than the lateral E because the lateral annulus is tethered due to constriction, the pathology of constriction. This is called annulus reversus. The lateral by medial E more than 0.91. Then the tissue Doppler imaging, the mitral annular E is more than 8 because the myocardium is normal. E by E prime less than 15 is suggestive of constriction. Now, that is called annulus paradox because normally the E by E prime is directly proportional to pulmonary capillary wedge and LV filling pressure. E by E prime more than 15 suggestive of elevated filling pressure, as we all know. In constriction, despite an elevated filling pressure, E by E prime is less than 15, and thus the term. This is called annulus paradox. Hepatic vein flow, I'm not going to the details due to lack of time. This is considered as one of the very specific findings in constriction. prominent diastolic flow reversal in expression, the ratio more than 0.79 is very specific. And restrictive cardiomyopathy, there is not much respiratory variation. So among these, which are the specific and sensitive ones, and the sensitivity is high in almost all the parameters, but the specificity is very low, except in the respiratory variation hemodynamics. That is the more specific ones. This is the last slide. Constriction versus restriction. Constraint of the pericardium versus restriction due to the diseased myocardium. That is a pathology. Though in restrictive cardiomyopathy, it is the myocardium which is diseased. Raised filling pressures, early diastolic filling, Kussmaul sign are common to both. Respiratory variation, ventricular discordance, annular paradox, annulus reversus, all are features of constriction. LVED more than RVED more than 5 millimeters, LVEDP more than 25, higher PA pressures more than 50, no respiratory variation indicative of RC. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you, Professor Harikishan, for such an extensive and interesting differentiation between restrictive cardiomyopathy